What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing a tier list for hot and cold on Void Launch. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Void Launch is the map where we have to shoot down Amon's shuttles. There are 7 waves of shuttles, which increase in size, number of prongs, and escorts. We cannot let more than 4 shuttles escape, otherwise we lose the game. Storm clouds move across the map that slow and damage your dudes when they get stuck inside. Fire erupts from the ground randomly and under fallen enemies.
Okay, so Twotuuu and Sticksbender are in the call press today. How are you guys?
Great.
Good.
Alright, so Sticksbender, how will we rank the commanders this week?
So this week is basically environmental mutators,
Yes.
the mutation.
Yes.
So it's going to be favoring people who can just use top bar and or highly expendable units to just handle the mission without having to worry about everything getting nuked from orbit.
Yes.
It's also going
underground.
to be favoring people who have the ability to teleport around the map in order to avoid environmental mutators, in a sense, by just kind of saying, no, I don't want to get exploded today, kapoof, or just teleporting to the objective and then teleporting home if you even have that much mobility. Just anyone who could do stuff like that is going to be pretty happy.
Alright, how about you, Twotuuu?
Also, static defense at home is good because you don't have to deal with the environmental mutators. You can just let the attack waves come to you, and you just kind of attack the shuttles a little bit before they reach the conduit. So you don't actually have to venture out that far unless you want the bonuses.
Yes. Alright, that sounds fair. Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
So Abathur, farming for biomass is kind of difficult because of the blizzards and the lava bursts. And even after you get a brutalist, it's kind of hard to keep it alive.
Yes.
Well, it's not too hard, but the lava bursts kill it fast if you're unlucky.
Yes.
Later on, when you get enough biomass, you get Leviathans, and Leviathans plus Devourers can kind of just stay at home and like kill the shuttles right before they hit the warp conduit, especially since Devourers have good area of effect and anti-air damage. So yeah, and since you can kind of just let the first wave go, you don't have to kill it, but I suggest you do, but you don't have to. Just one brutalist should be enough. I give him a B.
Okay, how about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, B should probably be fine for Abathur. I'm going to be honest with you. My idea on this mutation for Abathur is probably a little bit confused, because this is actually, I think, the first solo I ever did with Abathur, and at the time, I was really bad and inexperienced with Abathur, and it was all around painful experience.
I think that's
the learning curve, trying to figure out how to Abathur.
I think that's just the experience in general, trying to move like large bulky armies around environmental stuff, but maybe
I mean, it was mostly just Ultimate Evolutions. It's like all I used. I didn't actually ever get around to making an army until super late into the game.
That makes sense.
So
okay, so
my army wasn't even that bulky.
Let's put him in B. No prestige, right? Or do you want the second one?
I don't know about using the second prestige.
Yeah, no prestige,
I think
right?
that anything could work, though. Honestly,
All right.
Honestly, now that I've learned how to use P1 Abathur, I'd actually be interested to go back and try it again with P1 Abathur and see if it would be a lot easier.
Maybe. All right, let's put him in. Actually, I don't think P1 Abathur would work just fine here because the everything is full of environmental stuff. I wouldn't recommend it unless you also go for like.
Well, the reason is because, keep in mind, your Mutalisks are considerably less fat than your Ultimate Evolutions. And your Roaches, well, you don't care how many die. You get 100% biomass refund.
Alright, let's put him in B. I had him in C, but let's put him in B.
Alarak, honestly, I was thinking he could have been A maybe, but I'm just leaving him in B because I'm like, yeah, I'll trust Twotuu's judgment on this one.
Alright, Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak. So Alarak isn't too bad because of how P3 exists. That makes it a lot easier for him. It also is also not too bad because of War Prism overcharge being a thing that you can do. A pair of overcharged War Prisms, or in early ones even one overcharged War Prism, can kind of just defeat the shuttle and everything near it. All the escort and the shuttle will just evaporate to overcharged War Prisms.
Yeah.
So The very final shuttle wave is basically the entire mission for
Yeah.
Alarak, and
Basically.
like especially for Alarak, because that's basically where your top bar ceases to be enough to just handle the mission for Alarak. You still have Alarak's hero unit. You could still use have him with Empower Me. He has a dash, so he can actually get out of the AoE nice and comfortably.
Yes.
I would say you probably want to use Ascendance, because then what they get to do is sit at home in the base, defending waves, stacking up stacks, and then you finally move them out, and they have a ton of health, so they can kind of survive the environmental mutators better by then because of all the shields they'll have gotten. And
They're kind of slow
more
as it is, right?
importantly, if they die, as long as they manage to blow up the shuttle before they die, it's fine. It's the last shuttle wave.
All right, letter.
He should be. I'm gonna regret putting Abathur in B. I guess he's B because I don't see him as being necessarily better than Abathur, but he's also not gonna be too hard. I don't think. This is a relatively easy mutation. I will preface.
Okay, how about you, Twotuuu?
I also put him in B just because he's one of the few commanders that you kind of have to control a big army if you choose to move out. If you don't move out, then you don't have to do much. But that goes for a lot of the other ones. Even if you go after the shuttles, you still have to move out a little. And if you're kind of unlucky, then you might lose your mothership to a lava burst.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's really strong. You can just kind of stay at home, defend, and just move out right before
The
the
shuttles arrive.
shuttles get close. But then when they're the double waves, then you need overcharge one and then army at the other, or you gotta kill one quickly, then teleport to the other one.
All right, letter.
That's kind of harder. Yeah, put him in B.
Okay, I also have him in B. Unanimous. Arcturus, where do we have him?
He, for the most part, you just kind of stay at home with bunkers and defend, and then when you get close, you have your suicide squad of dudes, and you kill the shuttles mostly. So you don't have to control your entire army. You just need enough to kill the shuttles. If there's a big wave plus the shuttles, like the 19-minute one, then you can use a nuke and kill everything. That's pretty good. Or use Dogs of War to kind of block, and then your army or help. I put him in A.
Okay, how about you, Sticksbender?
He's so close to being S, but sadly, very tragically, ESOs cannot just contaminated strike the shuttles to death very comfortably. They technically can do it. It's just very, very tight to the point that it's not reliable. So unfortunately, you kind of do have to use a unit. That said, a single Viking is an option. Also an option would be just grabbing a single battle cruiser. Then it has tactical jump, and Triple Yamato does in fact just one-shot the entire shuttle wave.
Yeah.
If they're clumped up enough, the whole shuttle wave gone. Triple Yamato, it's gone.
Yeah.
So honestly, build up a bunch of bunkers, build some ESOs, because then you can just deal with the waves. If it's a ground comp, just build ESOs, deal with the waves. Honestly, just basically build a defense, build 2 battle cruisers.
Sure.
If you have ESOs, what you could do is you could cavitate strike spam the shuttles to get rid of the escort, and then the battle cruiser just strolls in Triple Yamato. It has 2 charges of tactical jump, so it can jump to the shuttle,
Then jump back.
kill it, and then jump back. I already talked about that. That's really good.
Yes.
He's verging on S.
I did actually have him in S because of Prides of August grad, but if it's not here, it's not
they're
S.
really good.
I did have him in S for the record. But yeah, you have him in A?
I mean, again, it's I kind of lean to putting him in S, but it's because my tier list has almost everyone in either S or A, because this is really not a hard mutation.
All right.
So
I mean, it's not unanimous either way. So
well, we'll put him in A. It's
all
fine.
right. A is fine. Artanis, where do we have him?
Artanis is actually not that bad, honestly. So the thing is, you have a couple of different options here. One, you have the fact that you can use technically you can just use Phoenixes if the comp allows it, which will make Artanis very much easier against certain comps. But the other thing is that if you're using P3, your top bar can do a lot of the work here.
So much
you
of
can
the work.
just one wave of Archon dudes, and there were shuttles here. I'm not sure where they went, but they definitely were here. And technically, you don't have enough Archon dudes for every single shuttle wave, or actually maybe you do. Yeah, because it's how late the first shuttle wave spawns starting energy. So you do. But you could even have solar bombardment to help free up even more energy. For the triple converging shuttle waves, it's especially useful because when the 3 sets of shuttles converge on the center conduit, that's also about when the attack wave reaches the center conduit, and a single solar bombardment there will just obliterate everything. It won't quite get the shuttles though, so you'll also want to weave in an orbital strike.
All right, how about you, Twotuuu?
I put him in B, but that's because I didn't use Phoenixes, so that may have been my choice. I used Tempest because the enemy comp had Thors and stuff, so I didn't want to fight. I didn't want Tempest. I didn't want Phoenixes for that. But I guess if the comp allows, then Phoenixes are pretty good. You have to, of course, pay attention to the mini map. And for the last wave, you might want to split up and then like hit from so that you can hit multiple conduits at once.
Yes.
I'm not like I put him in B, but I don't have. It's not a strong B. I don't have a problem with A.
Okay, let's put him in A. I actually had him in B because I had a lot of guys in A. But okay, if you guys put him in A, let's put him in A. Dahaka, where do we have him?
Dahaka. He has the pack leaders kind of hate the lava bursts, so that kind of sucks. But he has Mutalisks that have extra life, and you can also mass creeper host and just like send them. Although I would rather make Mutalisks.
I would also
better.
Rather make Mutalisks.
You don't have to like navigate the locust through blizzards.
Yes.
He's pretty strong, and like him farming it's much easier compared to Alarak farming. Not Alarak, Abathur farming.
So much easier.
I put him in A. Yeah, I put him in A.
Okay, how about you, Sticksbender?
Is he really that much better than Abathur?
Yeah.
I kind of was thinking of Dahaka as being very similar to Abathur here. Basically, my thought process was both of them ultimately are going to be transitioning into a ball of Mutalisks that can just defeat everything, except doesn't want to get caught in environmental mutators because you can still get vaporized by that.
Dahaka's Mutalisks
and both of them are starting.
Well, both of them
are starting with like big bulky units that are very strong, but are kind of fat. So again, environmental mutators can be a pain, but as long as you manage to, get them to do their job early on, you'll be fine.
Both of them do want Mutalisks, of course. Or even I would even get Devourers for Abathur. But the difference is you don't need to fly your Mutalisks around for Dahaka collecting biomass to be effective. They're just strong from the get-go.
It's true, although
I think that's a big difference, especially when you have so many environmental mutators.
Yeah.
Also, Dahaka floats lots of minerals, and primal worms are basically like free teleporting mineral dumps.
Yeah, true.
And vision providing.
That is useful.
Vision providing.
Yeah.
So you can use your top bars there too.
Well, the deep tunnel needs vision in the first place to be used, right?
Yeah, except not the top bar one, but the regular one.
Yeah, the regular top bar one. But the mineral dump one does need vision.
Yeah, the mineral dump one doesn't. Yeah. Okay, so letter.
Yeah, I guess that Dahaka can be A.
All right. I also had him in A, so unanimous. Phoenix, where do we have him?
Phoenix. Bad. Quite bad. Phoenix is terrible at shooting down shuttles. He doesn't have really a top bar for doing it that much. You have the Dragoon suit, and P1 can make it a lot easier, actually, because then your Dragoon suit can recharge between waves, so you can really use the Dragoon to just duke the shuttle off the face of the universe. But in general, Phoenix's only way of actually getting good anti-air aside from that is big ball of units that is going to suffer immensely from lava. And with that, and P1 usage, then you're still having to be careful to manage your Dragoon, because if it dies, now you're back to having to use the big bulky army. So Phoenix is probably, I would say, one of the lowest rankings for me.
Letter.
And that puts him at like only C, could still even be B, because I'm not even sure anyone is this week.
Okay, how about you, Twotuuu?
I don't have anyone C because I don't think it's that hard. Phoenix is definitely one of the worst though, because if you're like not careful or you don't teleport your army out of trouble quickly enough, then you lose a lot of stuff. And if you keep losing a lot of stuff, then you're gonna have your army's gonna be too small. But even so, if you have P1 Dragoon suit, you can still kill a lot of stuff. So you just don't want it to die to like while when it's getting hit.
And even with P1, you can even summon the Arbiter whenever you want.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's actually what I was gonna say. I would just make an army in a circle at home, then just use Arbiters to teleport that army to the field, then Arbiter back home, then Arbiter back to the field, Arbiter to the next
The
spot.
problem with
Arbiter
arbitering
back
to the
home.
field, problem with arbitering to the field is that if you're using a ground army, I guess it still holds formation, but if it's an air army, that'll actually spread them out so that they'll like be in the environmental mutators when they arrive.
Yes.
Which could backfire pretty hard,
combine
given
them
that your
with
only
the first-
anti-air that isn't an air unit is the Adept.
You can combine them. You can have derps and scouts, but yeah, it's not
So
saying
your
it's that
scouts are
good.
going to your scouts when getting recalled into the field are going to have a very bad day, I would expect.
It's fine. I'm not saying he's really good. I'm just saying it's an option. Anyway, so what do you have him? B?
B.
Yeah, let's put him in B.
All right. I did also have him B.
One of the worst, but literally no one is C this week.
Okay. Hot and Horner, where do we have him?
If you use P2, you're just gonna control like an air army, fly around, kill stuff, and then
Teleport.
your mag mines are at home
Defending.
dealing with waves. You airstrike whatever like you can hit, so you basically weaken every attack wave with airstrikes, and then you use your air units, and you can also teleport them around. So they're actually pretty good in that sense. And if you fight Terran, you use wraiths, and the shuttles don't have
Detection.
detectors. If you happen to get Terran, I put Hot Horner in A.
Nice. How about you, Sticksbender?
I think against Terran, the later waves actually do have detection with the shuttles, but
No, they don't. No, that's how Zeratul can do without mining.
I swear I saw
Foreshadowing.
the
last
last
wave. In the last wave,
Oh, in the last wave. Yeah, you're right.
the last wave still has nothing because
I thought the second to last had science vessel, like singular science vessel.
Maybe.
I thought there was
Actually,
a
I'm not
single detector you had to snipe on the second to last shuttle wave. But regardless, there is at very least mostly no detection if it's Terran enemies. So yeah, Wraiths should have a relatively easy time sniping shuttles.
All right, letter.
Yeah.
A?
B.
Oh, B. Huh. I
I
actually also had him in A. Or had him, yeah, I had him in A because...
You still have to use an rather expensive army. Yes, it has tactical jump to get out of environmental mutators. So that has a relatively long cooldown, and you can't exactly just jump home sometimes because it's like, well, if you just jump home, but you still had to kill the objective.
I did.
Well, now you can't kill the objective because you've left.
I did use Hot and Horner, by the way, and I used mass battlecruisers, and the way I kind of made an insurance policy for myself is I only jumped over unpathable terrain to make sure that the lava doesn't get me. A lot of these commanders, their only risk of losing is when their air force get barbecued. So to minimize that risk, I just teleported my battlecruisers over unpathable terrain, either pits or like those mountain things in the center of the map. So I can just basically tank the attacks, tank the blizzards if I get stuck in them, and then they will survive and then teleport back to my waiting SCVs at home for repair. I do think they're A, by the way.
I think that realistically, it's just that's basically proof of why nobody is C. They're proof of why nobody is C. Even with Han and Horner, it's that easy. Even though you kind of do have to put units out there, and their battlecruisers continue to be like, if the enemy if the enemy comp has strong anti-air and your battlecruisers accidentally end up fighting an attack wave, they die, all of them.
I don't think so.
And if you jumped in to snipe shuttles and then you encounter an attack wave, like the attack waves in like the last 3 shuttle waves, that sucks.
Save a
now
top
you don't
bar.
have jump to run away.
Save a space station or a call down the fleet, or even airstrikes. That'll work.
I think ultimately the fact that Han Horner actually has to fight the mission and has to do so with like sniping shuttles with bad units makes them be just. If nothing else, the fact that you kind of have to snipe shuttles and manage top bar to handle waves for you.
What do you think, Twotuuu? Are you okay with B?
I don't think like if you blindly teleport in, then you kind of deserve it. But you normally fly in normally so you could teleport out, and you're not really doing anything because there's so much downtime. So you can kind of you babysit your battle cruisers as you fly towards the place you're going.
Yeah.
Okay, so let
I mean, I feel like there's no advantage of these battle cruisers over the Mutalisks that we have put into B tier.
They can teleport. They can literally teleport, and they have much more health.
They're a lot slower and they're a lot fatter and they're weaker.
That's not relevant though, because they can teleport. That's an important thing. If they get stuck in a lava burst, they can just teleport out, and they have much more health to withstand blizzard and the attack wave.
Also teleport.
The thing is, Abathur's Mutalisks need biomass. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Not that Mutalisks are bad.
I guess we can put Horror. Okay.
All right.
I feel like the top bar and stuff is like the expendable stuff, so you don't actually have to engage a lot until they get close, and you're sitting at home with like a bunch of Hellions and maybe Hellbats and
Magmines.
And we do have to admit, of all the things that Hall Horners are bad at top bar, they're actually pretty decent at.
All right. Let's move on. Karax, where do we have him?
Now, Karax is great at top bar, and he can just, literally win the mission by just having an observer that sees the shuttles.
Very
And
good.
that's that.
Yes.
As Twotuuu mentioned, you can mass up static defense at home, so you don't have to worry about wasting energy on the attack waves. You could just use it all on telling the shuttles that they are strongly prohibited.
They're not allowed.
And that's that.
They're
Yeah,
illegal.
yeah.
Letter.
S.
Okay. How about you, Twotuuu?
mass mirages, P3 cannons at home, and then kill everything. S.
All right. Let's put him in S. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
So Kerrigan needs an army, but fortunately, you don't really bring out the army until you know it's safe. So you have like Ling Ultra, Hydra, whatever, and you probably will weaken or even kill most of the enemies with immobilization wave.
Yes.
And whatever's not dead, if you're using P2, you just keep stunning them
Zapping.
and zapping them. And then like if you see a lava burst coming or something, you just kind of hide.
Yeah.
I put Kerrigan in A.
Okay. How about you, Sticksbender?
Honestly, I would even consider Kerrigan for S. Worms good, and
Whoops are good.
again, it comes back to the ability to teleport both in
Yeah.
and out.
Yes. So
And you get vision for your teleports as well, so you can like make sure that you're not going to accidentally jump blindly into something very unhealthy for you.
I did have yeah. Go ahead.
And Kerrigan having a hero that can solo most of the
of it,
mission
yeah.
also helps, because just a single hero unit that isn't even that fat.
You can actually solo it if you have the queens back at home to transfuse.
Yeah, exactly.
So are you putting her under S? I had her in A, but I'm okay with S personally.
I kind of feel like she could be S, yeah.
All right. What do you think, Twotuuu? S, okay?
I don't know how so versus like air, her usual. Because like you the space you have to work with is less than usual. So if you're kind of like cramped, and then like air units, you're trying to like dodge environmental mutators and possible like air units wrecking your Hydralisk or something. Or they might like high DPS Kerrigan, and if you lose Kerrigan, that's you hopefully don't, but she puts herself in a lot of danger.
That's true. That's also true. So
I think that honestly, I wouldn't have even considered for S if P2 and P3 didn't exist, but now that those exist, I think yes, she puts herself in a fair bit of danger.
I think third prestige isn't S because she doesn't have the ability to just leap out of blizzards.
She doesn't have the ability to just leap out, but she still has the ability to just summon a worm literally at her feet.
If the cooldown's off.
Yeah, but like, what are you going to be making? If you're making army, you're making Hydralisk, but you're making just like a bunch of Hydralisks that are basically the backup plan in case Kerrigan dies, and that's all these are good for. And you can spend money on having like 10 worms, at which point
that's a lot of worms.
Effectively, if you get 10 worms, which honestly is like a fine and reasonable amount, I'd say here, or even more.
If you have 10 worms, you can
literally split off escorts and waves from the shuttles by walling them off with worms.
What I was thinking was, if you have that many Omega networks, you can have so many Omega worms out on the map that the lava bursts will be so dispersed, because the lava bursts only spawn close to where your stuff are. So if you have worms everywhere, the area where the lava bursts could spawn would be so spread out that they would effectively take themselves out of the game. Isn't that funny?
Yes, which would also be very helpful for both you and your ally.
Yes.
I think that honestly, P2 and P3 Kerrigan have strong enough anti-air that you should be actually fine here, and then you get the dilution of lava bursts, and then you get the vision literally everywhere, which is super helpful if you have an ally, because we've mentioned top bar is really good. Kerrigan doesn't have her own top bar, but if you have an ally who can use your vision to use their top bar, that's great.
All right, let's.
And Kerrigan doesn't need her own top bar because she has a hero unit who can solo the mission.
Let's do a final verdict. Twotuuu, if it's not unanimous, it's not S. Are you okay with S?
Probably would be the lowest of the S. if she is.
Okay, then let's put her in S and then decide later if she is S or A. Nova, where do we have him?
Nova's not S. Unfortunately, Nova
nice
has
S.
the same problem as the Kerrigan of old. Her anti-air is just not nearly as good as her anti-ground. And it applies to her units as well because her liberators are her liberators are pretty good anti-air actually, but they're not as good at anti-air as they are at anti-ground. That being said, you are still basically just going to do Raven Liberator. Still going to have to be out on the map, but at least you have Griffin Airlift to teleport out if problems happen.
Can you just destroy the shuttles with airstrike?
No, airstrike doesn't one-shot shuttles.
That's unfortunate. Oh well.
It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. If Nova's there, airstrike puts them in one-shot range for her snipe.
There we go.
So, But yeah, basically, you're probably just going to want to run around with Nova and Raven Liberator. It won't be that bad, but Lava is basically just going to be a pain in the
Annoying.
butt.
Yes.
Blizzards are gonna. It's just ultimately, basically, it's like Nova has to face the full wrath of the environmental mutators.
The letter.
You can hear the immense fear of environmental mutators in my voice. She should probably be B tier.
All right.
Maybe A, but I.
What do you think, Twotuuu?
She's so basically for me, any commander that has to like deal with the mutators or something, deal with the environmental mutators or manage large armies in order to be effective, they go to B, and she's one of them because her army is really powerful, but you have to keep dodging stuff and like sieging, unsieging, avoiding lava bursts and stuff.
All right.
You probably would siege right over the conduit so that you can't get hit by a lava burst.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I put her in B.
Unanimous.
B.
I also had her in B. We still use the first prestige, right? Soldier Fortune.
Yes.
All right. Stetboy, where do we have him?
I mean, on one hand, he does kind of have to use units. P2 Super Gary can kind of solo everything, but it's also kind of inconvenient to get him around places because the environmental mutators will shoot down your Stetellites, which will, not shoot them down for realsies. They'll just be disabled. But if they get disabled, now he's stuck and he's slow. And then a blizzard decides to, stroll up while you're stuck and slow. And now you're basically rooted in place. So it's not really reliable to expect P2 Gary to be able to solo everything. Yes. Regular Gary, then you might not be strong enough to solo stuff. However, all that being said, Corruptors are fast, and they have a delete all air units in this area spell, which you could just spam on the shuttles, and then the shuttles go bye-bye. So he's not that bad, but he's probably still B.
Yeah. What do you think?
He still has to just use an army that isn't able to even teleport around very easily.
What do you think, Twotuuu?
Well, I put him in S because he doesn't care. Like you're pretty much gonna have Gary Zone for whatever emergency. You don't need it for anything else really, and then you just fly around. And if you are if there are enemies near or like lava burst is about to hit you and you're kind of stuck, you can teleport out or you can use Gary Zone to get out. And then your lings don't matter, so you just even if they run through blizzards, you don't really care. So you just basically care about your corruptors and your Gary himself, and he kills everything.
You'll still be slowed down by the blizzards, right?
Yeah, but so what? You have green
matter.
zone. You out heal the blizzard. You get slowed down, but you don't die to them.
Okay.
And then you're always in position. You can be anywhere. And
well,
then
why are we suddenly always in position when blizzards are slowing us down?
Right.
Blizzards aren't everywhere.
Oh yes, they are.
They're not everywhere.
I'm playing a different version of the game. In my version of the game, they are literally everywhere. There's a tiny corridor on the map that sometimes is there, sometimes there isn't. When I'm playing the game. Oh my goodness. This is tough. Are you okay with S?
I'm sticking with B. I'm sticking with B.
I also have a B.
Is not good here.
I also have a B for the record. Well, it's not unanimous, so it's definitely not S. But can he maybe move up to A?
So lava still really hurts on Gary. If you're using P2 Gary, then you're especially going to have the problem, right? You can get stranded because your Stetellites are disabled, so you can get caught by lava like that.
And then the barbecue
comes up. You
comes
get stranded because of a blizzard, and so you can get caught by lava like that.
Then the barbecue comes up.
And the barbecue comes up, yeah. I would have I was expecting here that we were going to say you just leave Gary at home and use Corruptors to snipe shuttles and then have Gary at home to catch waves.
I wouldn't go that far.
P2 Gary going out on the map? and we're expecting that nothing will go wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's a shaky proposition. Even with Blue Zone, if he gets caught in a blizzard,
Flies out.
whenever I
Almost
play, at
additive.
least whenever something gets caught in a blizzard, it will get caught in a lava burst about
It depends on how
half a
Blue
second
Zone
later.
and Blizzard stack.
I had no issue. Killed all the shuttles, none left. Got all the bonuses.
Well, you're you.
I mean, I can say the same thing for Raynor, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I did too.
I said
But I don't think-
at the beginning of the recording, actually before we start recording, that I had a tier list, but I'm kind of fluid about it. And this is the reason why, because there's some randomness of how badly you get hit by all the blizzards and all the lava. Yeah, different people have different. I have terrible experience with some of these guys because of bad RNG of when and where the lava decides to spawn. Sometimes even the enemy comp gets me, but this is I don't.
The cooldown on Project Stat Zone is
Pretty
not
long.
that short.
It's pretty
reasonably long.
I think it's like a minute or something.
And
Gary Zone is a minute.
Yeah,
Gary
minute.
Zone is a minute.
And you
Gary
still
Zone
get
is a
stuck
minute.
in. You still get stuck
Which-
in the blizzard.
It's not terribly long, but you definitely can get stuck. And if you do get stuck, you definitely can die to lava. If you do get stuck, there are some comps which are just going to actually be a problem if Super Gary can't kite. Actually, especially since you don't get the triple E-Gorb if you're not in Gary Zone.
If you don't kite, you just fight at home.
Well, so now we are fighting at home.
Okay.
No, like you have the option to fight at home. But
Okay.
if you feel like it's too dangerous to go out, then you fight at home.
Okay, but then how are we sniping the shuttles?
Corruptors and Gary can go out. Like
Okay.
you can stall with your lings forever. You don't.
I don't know about that. Have you seen how they don't last that long against Hybrid Behemoth?
Okay, guys. Here's how we'll settle this. I have created a new tier. It's called "We Can't Agree on Where They Go, but they're not necessarily bad. In fact, they're probably good." Like that's that whole thing is the name of that tier. I have put both Raynor and Statboy there because we can't agree on where they go, but they're not necessarily bad. In fact, they're probably pretty good. So I think that's a pretty good description for both of them. Let's move on. Stukov, where do we have him?
Stukov, where did I put it? Oh, I use P3 and then make P3 and then add Vikings. Not Vikings. Liberators.
Yeah, Liberators.
Liberators.
Yeah.
Like you have enough stuff that you don't really care where they go. They do enough damage as they walk through the middle. Not all of them will make it through, but you don't need all of them to make it through. And then your Liberators will just snipe the shuttles to death. So I put them in A.
All right. How about you, Sticksbender? All right.
P3 just works. A is fine because like it's very, very easy. You just make bunkers and you're fine. Also, what I actually used, I did this one before the Prestige patch, and I just used Mass Queen. I just floated around with a ball of queens to snipe shuttles, and that also worked. But then you have to have an army out on the map. So here's about that. Having an army out on the map.
All right. Let's put him in A. I did not have him in A, but that's not relevant anymore. Swann, where do we have him?
Swann, you have a laser drill. Laser drill is good.
Pretty good.
With the slowing drill, it actually slows shuttles. Look at that. Massive army of floating factories. The floating factories.
The floating factories?
Floating factories. The floating factories kinda can just handle environmental mutators by saying the lava won't get all of us and the blizzard doesn't do enough damage for us to care.
How about you, Twotuuu?
Did he say a letter?
Oh wait, yeah.
I did not say a letter, and I also didn't mention that you'll also probably want to just get a bunch of wraiths because they are how you add extra DPS, and they are fast.
They are fast.
Technically speaking, well, you know how they have evade while cloaked? That works on the environmental mutator damage.
Okay.
And since the tick rate is so high, it basically just means they take like 20% reduced damage from environmental mutators while cloaked, which is not nothing.
It's not
useful
nothing.
For
it's something.
them. Maybe you'll actually get more wraiths out when having to escape.
All right, letter.
Kind of feel like he's A, but he might only be B. The laser drill slowing is so good, but that's probably the only reason it has to be A.
All right, how about you, Twotuuu?
I did all that same thing, and then you have turrets at home for attack waves, and I put them in A.
Okay. Is it okay with you, Sticksbender?
Yep.
All right, let's put them
turrets
in A.
Turrets at home, wraiths, floating factories for laser drill.
I actually was thinking a Hercules with like Goliaths in it, so you can actually have teleport, but still A. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus, you play normally, and you teleport out when there's trouble. So
There we
You
go.
you can use like non P2 so that all your dudes are on the same screen.
Yes.
And then you just do everything normally. S.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Yep.
All right, finally. That's actually how I imagined the rest of this tier list going. Not having to add we can't agree on where they go, but they're not necessarily bad. In fact, they're probably pretty good.
I would be able to note that Tychus actually does have slight problems with lava because it's like you might be used to your outlaws being practically invincible, and then lava just shows up and says, "Well, you're not immortal anymore, buddy." But yeah, for the most part,
All right.
Tychus is as advertised, just play
He was pretty
normally.
good.
You have medevacs, everything is fine.
All right, Vorazun. Where do we have him?
Vorazun. So you have teleports to get home, so that is nice.
Very nice.
However, yeah, you don't have the ability to teleport in, and you have to use your army to actually go in there. Corsairs are permanently cloaked, and as we established, depending on race, they might even not have very strong detection for the shuttles. So you can just have a massive blob of Corsairs, kill all the shuttles, kill all the air units that are escorting, and keep your Dark Pylon control group. I will always advocate it. It's so important. And anytime something is going wrong, you can just dip. Just be aware that if you dip when the shuttles are about to escape, then how are you going to kill the shuttles?
Yes. Letter.
Probably A.
Probably A. How about you, Twotuuu?
I put her in A. She's
Alright.
an A. She just like you have time stop for the big waves, so like the environmental mutators will not be an issue at that point. Like they won't move, so you can
They
kill
freeze
everything
yourself,
and then
yes.
Cool. All right, let's put him in A. I had her in B, but let's put her in A. Zagara, where do we have him?
Zagara, she basically when the shuttles are about to come, you throw a bunch of scourge. You just keep an eye on them, of course. So like you navigate around the blizzards. Lava bursts don't matter.
Yes.
At home, you just have your free banelings and static defense, so it's really easy. Sacrificial units, so S.
For a lot of regular players, that's called playing Zagara normally. How about you, Sticksbender?
I would note that lava bursts mostly don't matter because they're very small area. But if you do have all your scourge clumped up in a ball and you fly through a lava burst, you can manage to lose everything to a lava burst. So still do fly around them. That said, they're very small and your scourge ball is very small. So like they don't matter in that it'll be very, very easy to fly around them. Not in that you should fly directly through them. That's the only caveat. She's S.
All right, we all have an S. Let's put an S. Zeratul, where do we have him?
Cannon's good, and it's teleporting in.
Yeah, that's good. Teleporting.
Yep. He doesn't even need to mine because the Syrian is that strong, but he also has teleporting buildings, which, get this, when you aren't teleporting the buildings to kill shuttle waves, they're already at home killing the waves. It's
Nice.
so easy.
So beautiful. How about you, Twotuuu?
Yeah, just cannons are good.
Cannons are good.
Nothing
All right.
else.
So let's put him in S. So second prestige for Zeratul. Probably first
Yes.
prestige for Zagara. You can also use third if you want to, but first
You could
is
use
good.
the third Zeratul prestige if you want.
Yeah, that also works. Anyway, who is top of S?
Zeratul.
Yeah, I was about to say probably the Zeratul, honestly.
All right, no arguments for me. Then Tychus?
Tychus.
I guess I can see Tychus. Personally, I would definitely prefer Kerrigan over Tychus.
Kerrigan's my third.
Yeah, Kerrigan is fine as third. I would put Kerrigan above Tychus, but that could just be personal preference. They're pretty close.
All right.
So
I watched my Kerrigan run. I just feel like I could barely get 150 supply because things keep dying to blizzards. Like you come out to fight. Like if you don't come out, then you're not gonna fight. And then if you come out to fight, you gotta deal with environmental stuff.
I don't hit 150 supply because I forget to make units even during my mutation solos. It's just like, oh yeah, that's right, making units. I was so busy microing the heck out of Kerrigan that I just completely forgot to macro.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So who's next? Zagara or Karax?
Probably Zagara.
Zagara. All right. Let's put Zagara here. Who's top of A?
Well, since Jimmy isn't here anymore, no, he wasn't going to be top anyways. I would probably say it's Arcturus. Yeah, it's Arcturus. It's Mengsk. Mengsk is top of A.
All right. Yeah, because he has bad views. Then who's next?
I'd actually put Artanis next, honestly.
Are you okay with that, Twotuuu? All right. Then who's next?
Stukov after that, right?
Stukov.
As it turns out, get this, P3 actually works, and you have top bar and or liberators.
Beautiful.
Or queens to snipe shuttles.
Okay. Stukov next, and then the Haka.
The Haka.
All right. Then
Swann.
Swann.
Yeah. Probably. Then Vorazun, and then
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 Vorazun,
Vorazun.
Horner. All right, who's top of B?
Abathur. Probably.
Abathur? Okay.
Then
I actually had
Nova.
him not top of B.
It might be Nova top of B. Nova's pretty solid.
Okay. Then
Okay.
is Phoenix the bottom of B?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So who's better between Alarak and Abathur?
I would say Abathur.
Alarak.
Oh, well.
Yeah, just the fact
Well,
that you have to
Alarak has
gather
the-
biomass for everything is so painful.
Okay,
So painful. Oh my goodness. I played
I mean-
Abathur so many times. Like, he's nothing but pain.
Why will you play him so many times?
Because he's so much pain.
Because that's
I was trying to see.
because that's the learning curve on Abathur.
I was trying to see if there is a way to play Abathur without being painful, and I haven't found it. At least, unless you want to just sit back and let your ally do everything.
See, the only reason I am concerned with that argument is because, but that applies to Abathur on Brutal +0.
I don't think he's that painful
that just
to
is
play.
Abathur.
I don't think he's that painful to play without mutators. In fact, he's one of the fun ones because you get to play right away instead of just building stuff, working workers, getting your supply depots, getting pylons, getting upgrades.
Okay, but instead of that, you get pain and suffering that hopefully results in units if you figure out how to do it right.
I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's just put Alarak and Abathur in like that same spot. Just play whoever you want.
Above.
All right.
He has a mothership. Mothership is good.
Yeah. Who's top of? We can't agree on where they go, but they're not necessarily bad. In fact, they're probably pretty good.
That's not really.
All right.
There is no top. We can't decide. That's the point.
That's literally why we can't agree on where they go, but they're not necessarily bad. In fact, they're probably pretty good. You guys probably can't see. It's actually what it says. We can't agree on where they go, but they're not necessarily bad. In fact, they're probably pretty good. That's what the tier says. All right, guys. Wait, synergies. Oh wait, there are only like 4 guys in B, so it doesn't matter. Everyone's in A or S, or we can't agree on where they go, but they're not necessarily bad. In fact, they're probably pretty good. So guys, watch Twotuuu Sticksbender channels. I will link them down below, and I will see you guys next time.